I am making this, jeez, I'm sorry. I can't look at myself with this. I am making this video because I have an actual reason for making this video. I'm Pure Made. A lot of people know me as the cleaning source for all natural cleaning, and I never work with bleach. I drive a Prius. In my personal life and business, we drive Priuses. I have one Prius actually that I use for both. So we are hurting the planet in this manner that we're living, and the absurdity of this hostile relationship we have with the planet. I think the real issue is a spiritual issue, which is what I'm going to talk about. T.S. Eliot says we return from the place to which we originate after we are done exploring, but we'll never cease from exploring. But once we return to this place that we originate, we'll know it for the first time. But I don't think we have to die to come to that awakening. And Jesus, in the parable that he gives when he gives the parable of the prodigal son, which is actually a very ancient parable in all traditions, many different traditions. And there was a son of a rich father, and he says, "Give me my inheritance." And then he travels to a distant land, squanders his inheritance, and he becomes a beggar by the roadside, and forgets in other versions of the parable, he has a total unawareness of who he is. He forgets completely. And the father sends out messengers, and they say, "Do you know who you are?" And then he says, "Oh yeah," because he totally forgot. But then he begins to remember who he is. And he returns to the father's house. And it says the father loved him even more deeply than before. And to me, this parable is a story of humanity. This is not my condition anymore, and it's probably not your condition because you're out on YouTube looking for stuff like this. So it means you're probably more awakened than most of humanity. But humanity as a whole now just has no concepts. They have total unawareness, and they're in the dark of it. And the messengers perhaps could mean a spiritual teaching or a spiritual teacher that can awaken you to the truth of who you are. For me, that was Eckhart Tolle. Then, which to the Father's house, you return then, which means you suddenly become aware again of who you are, and you once lost it. And I don't know about you, but I know that, when I've lost something in my life and I find it again, I have such a greater love for it. I have an added dimension of appreciation of beauty of it. And we as humanity are going through that stage now. There was once a time, a lot of cultures have what they call the golden age, where there's so many myths in so many different societies where they had this myth of the golden age, where there once was a time of connectedness. We were all happy and lived at one with the source. Awareness towards nature. Our deep connectedness with nature. And in the past, we had that connectedness because that's all there was. We didn't even realize that we had that connectedness because we didn't have anything but nature. But now we have the absurdity of almost this hostile relationship towards nature. But a lot of people on this planet, now they have a deep awareness, even a deep appreciation of nature, even more than before, of the sacredness of nature. That's why I drive a Prius, to protect the planet. I clean with all natural cleaning products. Any problem that we have in this life is as a result of our disconnection from the source of everything, the source that gives me right now the energy to speak these words to you, and that causes all cells to vibrate. And this is where we get all this. And all the problems we have are a result of our disconnection. And we think that we can fix our problems and absurd ways. I mean, when we have stress, we take mountains of prescription drugs. I mean, who do you know that doesn't take 3, 4, 5 prescription drugs? I know people that have died from an overdose from painkillers, and people that have died from taking antipsychotic drugs. And now 30% of kids are obese. And we have a contaminated food supply. They're putting these genetically modified organisms into our food. So a spiritual aspect of returning to the sacredness of the one, to the planet, to awareness. I think the new human evolution is the prodigal son story. I know that's my story because I've been lost so many occasions in my life, and I've gone through addictions, and I've gone through, and I've returned. I've always returned, to the Father's house, to consciousness, and I have such more of an appreciation towards it. And I think this is the human evolution now. And the ancient mystic people heard sounds inside of them for God, which is where we get language today, and the sound they heard inside of them was ah. And so that's why in the New Testament it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. It's not an accident that that's the very first thing the New Testament says. Whenever you hear the name of God, there's an ah in it. God, Krishna, Ali Durga, Jehovah, Yahweh. Take a deep breath and concentrate on your breathing. The sound of God, as many times as it takes to find that stillness. Method most deeply is when I'm still in my mind. So I hope that this helped you in some way. And if it did, please thank you.